Hi everybody, this is Jacob from GFB with my top 10 favoritist games of all time that I've played. Now, I'm not claiming these games to be the absolute best in the world, because evidently that's just a matter of opinion and gamers score and, collection of fans supporting it. But these were the games that brought out the gamer in me today. And if you agree, or if you like, or if you think, yes, I love that game for that reason too, well then, hey, let's talk about it, let's debate, I'm all up for that. And yeah, just as we're going through, I'll just give the generic baseline of why I love that game, and then, you'll get the idea from that. So, thanks for watching, and we hope you enjoy. So as a first pick for a game, as a fighting game, this was perhaps the one game that I thought, hey, I can actually do well in when I started off. You know? The combos were pretty simple together, the special moves, were awesome. And just the story was all that kind of, fantasy, messed up movie star, monster, robot, cyborg stuff, which was just so hard to take seriously, but you loved it for it. It was a fighting game with so much variety and so many cool stuff. And this guy, one just before there, is one of the best bosses you'll probably ever find. He even has the voice commentator. He's even the voice commentator for when you win the game and all. It's just amazing. I was so happy to finish the single player campaign in the knowledge that I would never, ever have to fight that guy again. Such a boss. But anyway, what am I talking about? Just the variety of fighters, the moves, the X-rays and fatalities, which I know Mortal Kombat X has made pretty tame, but as a reboot, it was much deserved and much needed in the Mortal Kombat franchise. Because all the previous ones, well, let's not talk about those. But just as a fighting game, it was incredible. Just the challenges that were involved within it, just the endless amount of fights that you could have, the challenge that was with it too, when you go up as one fighter versus three, and it seems impossible, and then you do it, such a great feeling. It was an incredible game, a great fighting experience, and I loved it. I really do have a love and hate relationship with this game. Partly, well, in full fact because it was a constant sense of dread and terror that filled you just whenever and wherever you were. Nowhere was safe, and although I hated that feeling, I loved the experience. It was such a tumultuous amount of stressful, intense moments. The eye-piercing machine being one of them. I don't think I have to go into too much detail of that for you to know. It was just an amazing game with the zero grav features coming in, being able to slow down and dismember your enemies for tactical advantages, and really the system involved. If you were too low on one specific ammo type, the game would realize that, it would see that, and it would supply you with that later, so it wasn't just random. It was always enough to just, for you to struggle, but just to keep going in at the end. I mean, I never finished it. I played it on middle difficulty, and I could not finish the final boss. I rage quit at the end of it. It was just such... I don't play many horror games, so I guess this is probably why this is up here, whereas some of the new ones like Outlast or something are around. But just the experience of just always thinking that I'm going to die within each stage just has never been recreated with any other game, and that's why I love and hate Dead Space 2. So I talked about dread in the last entry, and this was a different dread in all kinds of forms, because it filled me with awe at the same time. It was such a massive world connecting in and out. Dark Souls 2 made me feel like I was this small, insignificant little, gnat compared to all of the beauty and mystery and danger within. Dark Souls 1 introduced me to the feeling of, going into the boss battle thinking, yeah, I can take this guy, and then you finally catch him, and you hit him, and you see how much damage you don't do, and you think, holy crap, I'm about to die. And then you die 50 times over. But this, it was just so much more polished, there was no lag, was another thing, and just the lore within it. You have to actually go onto the websites and just find out for yourself, but no matter how fantastical and wonderful and dark it was never random. It was all there for a reason. And just altogether, it was a monumental experience. Just discovery and of complete bloodshed. Ah, it was painful, and I've never completed it, but I'll keep coming back, and it knows it. I'll keep coming back for one last valiant but evidently doomed effort, and then I'll start all over again. Dark Souls 2, everybody. Alan Wake was a completely different adventure for me, in that it is the only story that has ever made me feel so delved into the game and so wondered at it. It was, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but everything just, it was so mysterious and that intricately connected to each other that I just couldn't get enough of it. You know, I started the single player and I was hooked from the very beginning to the very end. It's symbolism, it's lighting mechanics, and that you fend off the darkness, the invulnerable darkness with your flashlight. You can only harm them afterwards. It was just such an interesting game with its it just, you have to play it to really understand what I'm talking about. I'm not going to give it away. But honestly, the story and just how it implemented yourself into the game, just, it gripped me from beginning to end. So I always, I didn't think of this the moment I thought of like a top 10 list, but it's always been in my memory and I've always revisited it in my head, and it was just such a great game. Honestly, play it for yourself and you'll understand. It was tense, it was flashy, it was dark, and pretty much like a novel in itself, which is the whole point of the game. It tries to build itself up like some kind of gothic read or horror story, and I loved it to bits. It was monumental. Now, think of Alan Wake and then take this game, and it is the complete opposite. Even just thinking about it fills me with adrenaline and joy. The complete sense of chaos and free roam. I mean, the map has to be the biggest around, like, just in gaming. I think it was like 67 kilometers, like, in a circle round, something like that. It was absolutely incredible. Just the freedom you had, just to, I mean, look at this guy Rico going at it right now, just to destroy, to wreak havoc, to do it all over again across the 63-kilometer map, unending. You could have helicopter battles, you could string people to cars and then smash them into buildings, or like, jump out of a helicopter like at 1,000 feet and then try to get back in it before it hit the ground. And it was just so much freedom and just being able to do whatever you wanted and just destroy as many things. It was such a stress reliever. Honestly, I mean the story, okay, it was all right, but like, who played it for the story? You played it just to destroy everything. That building there, boom, gone. All the military stuff, just the amount of fun you could have, like throwing that guy off the roof. I did that so many times. Jumping from a building, blowing up while you're in midair. Just an absolute blast of a time. And I wish it was in co-op, and I know they did mods for that, and I've never played that, but I really wish I had. And I can't wait for Just Cause 3. Oh my god. Look at that. Awesome. Bioshock 2 holds a special place in my heart because it was the first 18 I ever managed to get and play. But it's not only just there for that reason. It was a game world which was linear, but it was so massive in size back in, the last generation consoles. And just the nostalgia that I come off from every time that I see the city of Rapture, just the beautiful, like, 19 kind of, it's the kind of city you see in like L.A. Noir, just within this underwater scope. Just, it was beautiful and it really captured me. Being able to save the little sisters, to gain, I can't even remember what the game currency was at this point, but it was such a fun ride, being as a big daddy, fighting off against the big sisters and the other big daddies that were protecting the little girls, and just going through. The story had a lot of plots and twists which I never saw coming, mainly because I hadn't played, I still haven't played the first one, but it was a brilliant success just from the beginning to the end. It had me going. I played it for hours. I did every little thing before I completed the main story. and it was a great experience. Just having your gun handy in a tumultuous mess of hotels, water wed with psychomaniacs everywhere, coming off of the most random, decrepit lines. Just some of the conversations within them are memorable enough just from memory. It was a great time. It really pulled at my hug strings, my heart strings. Excuse me. And well, play it yourself. You're missing out if you haven't. Now I know what you might be saying. Mass Effect 2 is the best in the franchise, and to be honest, that's arguable. Yeah, I kind of agree with you. But Mass Effect 3 for me was the tremendous triumph of the finale of possibly one of the best franchises in video games. Much to how my friends are going to argue at me, I know that much. It was just BioWare, when they took it on after Knights of the Old Republic, Star Wars, many people were quite complimentary, almost shaken at how magnificent what they managed to do with just this tale of Armageddon and Retribution and Alliance military space stuff. The kind of thing that, if you ever make a book or a movie and you want it to be as big as Star Wars or whatever, or you want it to be known, like, I can't imagine a more perfect three-parter story just in all. It was brilliant. From actually having to, build up your alliance to get people to fight off the Reapers. The Reapers! Oh my god! I loved them from the moment I saw them. They were the orchestral aliens of doom. Nothing else in video games stood up to them. They obliterated everything. And I played this in the wrong order. I played the second first, then the first, and then the third. And, my story wasn't even connected together, so it wasn't a personal experience for me. But even so, just even without that, just the emotion that you felt throughout the entire game, like if you had a heart, like Mass Effect 3 was like a block of stones and masonry falling apart and putting down and crushing it, and you loved every second of it. It was so heartfelt when I saw some of my favourite characters who I'd cared for and teamed up with and gone on to suicide missions with all across the galaxy die. I loved it, and I hate it for it, but I still loved it, and as you can tell, that's kind of a thing for me. I don't know, maybe I'm some kind of freak, and, that's how I love my relationships, but, yeah, moving on. The combat was just so much better and streamlined and polished, and the decisions that you made, I know the ending was, it kind of put a mute to all of that, but I didn't feel it was that bad, and honestly, just, I felt I felt accomplished. I felt I was contributing. I felt as if I was making decisions to save races and galaxies, and just the love and attention they put to the entire game and the lore. It just blew me away every single time I played it. And that's why Mass Effect 3, you are just shy from the number third spot. You want to talk about ore? Skyrim, there's never been anything else close to Skyrim, in my opinion. Whenever I look for an RPG or, play a game which is open world, I compare it to Skyrim, and I think, where are the elements of that game that I loved so much in these? And if it doesn't meet that, well then Skyrim is still the number one RPG in my opinion, because, oh my god, the sense of wonderment, and that you could... I mean, the main story, I completely forgot about the main story. I saw a path, and I was like, yeah, let's go down there and spend 5 hours doing whatever. Trawling dungeons, fighting dragons. It was an incredible experience. The world so massive, the people so numerous. The experience in itself, just to be able to go anywhere, to do whatever. And the narration for each and every story, so lovingly detailed and handcrafted. No open world has ever done what Skyrim has done for me, and that's made me feel like a person in its own universe. It made me feel alive, like I could do whatever, that I could be whoever, and ultimately that was like, some kind of vigilante like Batman. We'll get to Batman in a minute, but my god, the cities, the people, The combat, the skills. Oh, the skills, so many. I always dreamed of maxing out everything and getting 100 in everything and being the best there ever was at everything because, yeah, I'm adequate in real life, but it was, and it, I can't even, I can't even explain to you because there really is nothing else like it. Skyrim, I'd come to live in your world anytime, no matter how many dragons and monsters and whatever, because you are irreplaceable. And here we are, number 2. Of course, Batman. Oh my god, Rocksteady. The things that you have accomplished, and with one of my most favourite icons of all time. This game, I found it hard choosing between Asylum and Arkham. Asylum just had a better sense of atmosphere, I feel, and was just the game that started it all to my favourite franchise of all time. But City did everything better, literally. It had an open world, it combined so many of the villains and Batman within it that I loved. The combat was always on point. From Asylum, it was incredible, and now every single action game pretty much rips it off. And you felt like the Dark Knight. You felt like Batman, from analysing crime scenes to solving the Riddler puzzles, from the riddles and just collecting trophies all around. That was like a puzzle element, which actually, you like in games, like they just make you collect items and stuff. But that actually felt like it should have been there. Like it was okay to put that in because they made it relevant to the story and the world and the twist at the end. It was just fantastic. The end of game screens that they had from the very beginning, they delved into the mind of Batman and his enemies so well, and the death rooms, fighting with Bane, the side missions apart from the main story, which I loved and were different and varied and just brought the whole experience to me. Arkham City was pretty much a love letter to me personally, and so many other Batman fans out there. It was done with so much polish, so much finesse, so much confidence from just the first game. I mean, they could tell they were onto something, but I don't even know if they knew it would become as big as it has, because it was just such a phenomenal experience to be Batman, to be the Dark Knight. Unforgettable, unmissable, treasured till the end. So what beats being Batman? How about the first game you ever played? The first game that introduced you to games in general. The game that has stayed with me through time immortal. Star Wars Battlefront 2. The game I grew up with in my childhood, that I played for years on end. There is nothing like a good sense of nostalgia. And DICE are making a new one! Ah! I can't wait! And it's just, you could relive the battles of Star Wars, the movie franchise that we all loved, and the first, the first one free. They were cool. They were cool. Just being able to fly in starships, destroy cruisers, play as Darth Vader across the battlefield, and enact all of your favorite battles with stormtroopers, rebels, Wookiees, Han Solo. It was incredible experience, and it still lives up today in my book. Just the battles, the planets, the wide scale of what you were doing, and just Star Wars. Star Wars in its purest form in nature. Following on from the movies, I mean, I know Knights of the Old Republic, probably the best Star Wars game ever, but this was the game that introduced me to games, and I wouldn't be into games this much, I don't feel, if it weren't for this game. And for that, and the memories and the childhood it gave me, this takes, easily, the #1 spot.